getting the properties were starting to get harder and harder and more expensive. And so one of the key things I put in my calendar every day was just to maximize what we had. So what we did was we changed some of our rentals into a midterm model, and we were getting about double the rent that we normally would have. Yep. A lot of cash. And we were putting that aside. We also just, we continued to live on one salary. So we were living on his salary, and we never lived off of the business, so that could keep building itself.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Wojo. Welcome to another episode of the Lifeonaire show, where we help people make more, work less, and have awesome lives. I am joined by Polish Peter, my co-host for today's episode.
Just today's episode?
Maybe not tomorrow's.
That makes me a little worried there about you. Like, what's going on? Is there something I should know?
I'm planting these little seeds, man. I'm seeing if you're catching up with this.
Okay, I need my army. Come on, people.
We got an awesome episode coming up today, man. Shannon and Scott Richardson. They are Lifeonaire members who, frankly, were in the running for Student of the Year, and they're right there. They're awesome folks who have accomplished some amazing things.
Yeah, and one of the privileges that I had to do when it comes to those two is, they're going to be talking about on this podcast is, I actually sat down with them at the live event when they first came in and had the discussion with them of what they want out of life and how they wanted, to get there and those kinds of things, and see whether or not, how Lifeonaire would be a great fit. And they had the conversations, and now looking back and what they've been able to achieve and how they've been able to do it is really impactful. I mean, I'm so impressed with the couple of how they were able to go and create their vision for their life and actually go after it. So I'm encouraging every single one of you guys to listen to this episode and look for it. How can that apply to your life? How can you use some of what they're saying that will help you in your life? How important that vision is and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, man. Exactly what you said. Let's jump into it right now. Here's our episode, our interview with Shannon and Scott Richardson. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Lifeonaire show.
Hi, thank you.
So, this is our second attempt at recording this episode because of technical difficulties last time. And our audience is in for a treat with you guys. And so, I've already given some context in the introduction here that Peter and I did, but I want to first of all acknowledge you guys for how much you've accomplished within both the personal and life side of things as well as business, because you guys have really rocked it, and it's super cool to see. And what I want to do in this episode is pull some of the lessons out from your success for other people that are striving to do the same thing. And so, for instance, what I'd like you to do, and so I'll just give a brief why don't you guys give a brief background of, like, before Lifeonaire, you kind of built a business, just kind of give a high level overview of that, and then talk about like what it's been like and what's happened since being in Lifeonaire. And then we'll kind of dive into some of the specifics as to how you've accomplished the awesome things like the cash flow swings, like the pulling down these properties and prioritizing life. So bring people up to speed. When you first came to Lifeonaire, tell me about your business and about your life.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, so we started our real estate business back in late 2019. 2020, we were starting to get rolling. COVID hit, but we'd established relationships. So we started to continue to build our real estate business, but it was a lot of time and effort because we were both doing W-2 jobs at that point. And what happened is that we were just running like crazy. We were drinking from the fire hose, and it was just craziness. So what we found is that we didn't have a life like we wanted anymore. We had the business. We knew we were growing the business, but life, it wasn't like it was before. And we just needed to get some change with that so that the business wasn't running us all the time.
Got it. And so what? Go ahead, Peter.
I'm just wondering what changed with your life. What was the thing that you didn't like about the life that was?
I think we were just, we used to do a lot of more fun things. We used to go boating or kayaking or just go enjoy things. So when we weren't working, we were done for the day, if that makes sense. We travel a lot more. Mm-hmm. And so then all of a sudden we were building the business. We would be on the weekend ripping out cupboards instead of being out on the boat. And in Wisconsin, we only get 10 good weekends probably to go boating. So that's what was changing. We just were working all the time, and it just wasn't as fun anymore.
How did you find out about Lifeonaire?
Through one of so we actually went to almost every real estate, like the RIA meetings in our area, just to get to network and to know people. And the Appleton RIA is now our coach's RIA, is Jackie's RIA. And so she had it on the website, and I was always interested about, in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually scheduled to go to Myrtle Beach, and the flights got canceled. And wouldn't you know that a 3-day Getaway is scheduled the 3 days before we were supposed to go. So we rescheduled our flights right into Myrtle Beach, or not into Raleigh.
Yeah.
And we did 3 days of that before we went on our week-long vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter did not scare you away, is what I'm hearing. And so you actually wow, stuck with it.
Yeah, actually, it was your podcast that I said to Scott, I said, I think you need to watch this. Can you watch this and see if you think this would be good for us to go and do? And he did. And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
I was all on board because it was so different from masterminds that we've been involved with. I mean, it's just all business related and growing that, but see something where, you can have lifestyle, that abundant life that was really appealing to me. So to see how you presented it, I was all on board, and let's go take a look at it.
Man. Well, dude, and this is something I think a lot of people miss out on. And, and it's weird, man, because I'll go speak to RIAs and stuff and or business groups, and people just, they think the answer is more business and more
Mm-hmm.
money. And it's not, especially if you structure your business the wrong way. And so I'm grateful that you guys saw that. That's cool. And so when you went to the Getaway, what was, just curious, and I'm
that experience.
This was this is a dangerous question to ask because I don't know what the answer is going to be. What was that like for you? Was it this is weird, this is cool, this is what we need? What was your reaction when because it is a little bit different than
Check my perspective.
You did yours first because we had different perspectives.
So here's the thing. I was very naively, and I don't know why, thinking we were going to do this 3-day, get all the answers, and we were going to move on. You got to remember where we were. I had just left my job 1 month prior.
Yeah.
So we had paid off all of our credit cards. We prepaid our insurance through the end. And this is March. The Get a Life is April. So we prepaid our insurance, all of our things. We had stockpiled money so that I could, move out of my W-2 and have 9 months to get our business and see if I could make it float.
Yeah.
And he was day one going, oh, we got to do this. We're joining. But I didn't know. We met with Peter in a little session that we had, and I was the only one that was just.
And me and Peter are all right, let's move forward. And he's
Shannon's
what are you talking about?
Well, I was we're going to put this money on the credit card. We had just paid everything up. But
right.
Oh my gosh, best thing for us, really.
That's so funny because I don't even think at the first day we even mentioned that you can continue with us until the end of the second day. So you guys were had some inside information there or something. Well, so talk to me though for a second. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
The funny part is when she says, well, when were you ready to, go on board with this? And I go, after day one. And she's like, how come you didn't say anything? I said, I didn't want to say anything. I wanted you to experience too, so that you could come to your own conclusions on this.
Right.
Yeah. I remember that conversation between all three of us, and Shannon, man, it was fun. She was like, nope, we're not happening. Right.
Two things that struck me there. I want to dive into. What are some of the things? So you guys both, by the way, quit your jobs, which is amazing. Scott, I know you were later. You were in August. But what were some of the things that you guys did tangibly? Just, and we don't have to go into depth, but give us some high level items that you guys did to prepare for that change, because that's a lot of people come to Lifeonaire who have jobs and they want to get out of it as quickly as possible. Not always, but many times. And so what are just a few high level things that you guys did to get out of your job? Is my first question.
Yeah. So just to get our business rolling, getting the properties, we're starting to get harder and harder and more expensive. And so, one of the key things I put in my calendar every day was just to maximize what we had. So what we did was we changed some of our rentals into a midterm model, and we were getting about double the rent that we normally would have. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cash. And we were putting that aside. We also just, we continued to live on one salary. So we were living on his salary, and we never lived off of the business, so that could keep building itself. And that increased our value.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started going, we went to actually 2 business builders, but, the second one, the one we went to most recently, he was able to join. It was really impactful because we were just starting to pick up a huge portfolio that we did through some creative financing and such, but setting up systems and things like that, because all of a sudden our roles were changing. We always went into this going, we had what we called a real, we didn't know what roles we were going to do. We had a like it, hate it, tolerate system. So if one hated it, but one could tolerate it, that became his job and vice versa. So we just kind of did that. But now we have these systems that are make it really run itself.
Got it. Okay. Well, and yeah, because I was just wondering about that because that's a challenge for people. So now take me back to the decision, and I'm just curious here. You're worrying about, you're trying to keep overhead low because you now there's only one of you that has a consistent income, even though you have the business. But now you're looking at making an investment into Lifeonaire. How did you decide to actually do that? Because you could have easily said, no, we're trying to right now we're keeping overhead and expenses low, and it's not the right time, and we shouldn't be doing this. Like, how did you actually decide what made you decide to join?
It was the accent.
Yeah. Well, it was the transcripts that I read.
It's the transcripts
all right.
On the back table.
It comes down to balance.
Yeah, right. And a lot of it is kind of what you talk about, like when you start writing your vision down, like your hobbies, your spiritual, all of these different things on what are important to you. And when you start seeing like spiritual was a huge thing for us, and just being aligned together. So, and then being around like-minded people. I mean, that's always the key. When you're around, you're the average of the 5 people that you're around. So we saw that there was a lot of success in Lifeonaire, not from a business standpoint only, but also from the abundance of life side of it too. So that was what was really appealing to come into Lifeonaire.
Yeah. Well, and listen, you guys are the exact same. I mean, but here's the cool thing is you are that exact person for other people in the group too, because of your success in modeling. So I love that community. So I was just curious about that because some people get stuck there, right? They're like, they never take that step forward because they just kind of get in their own way. And so I was just curious how you guys viewed it to get past that. So, all right. So you come to Get a Life, and then you probably realize like, hey, we can have the life and the business. Talk to me about some of the first things, you talked about some of the things you did to set yourself up to be able to leave your job. Was it just more of the same? And what are some of the things you learned from Lifeonaire that like you guys really found to have some real kind of rubber hits the road, like practicality, in terms of, and you mentioned some systemization, things like that. Like, can you get more into that? Cause I'm curious, like I think everybody at some level wants to have the life and the business, but like a lot of people don't think it's possible. So like, what are some of the things you guys did to make that a reality?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm a visionary, and I have visionary squirrels. So I'm always going to have tons of different business ideas, but because of the vision written down, and we not only had a personal vision, but we had our business vision. It helped me to pull back and nope, that's not in my vision. Let's keep her to where it is, so.
Yep. Yeah. And I think just getting everything strategically done with the business, maximizing what we had, that was huge for us, and just understanding what we needed to do. We didn't need more. We just needed to make more of what we had. And then that was a huge difference for us, is to have that type of mentality with it.
Yeah. We did your strategic elimination, automation, and delegation. I mean, honestly,
the seed process. I love it.
That's process. The game changer. We just got rid of a lot of things that didn't make sense. Everything's automated with our system. We have a property management software. So we actually took all the property management in that we had that outsourced. We took all of them in because as we started doing some of our midterms, I'm like, we can do all of this and we do it how we want. Everything's automated. Like, we don't go collect checks. That all comes in. We don't, some of the templates, the stuff, I don't send out the messages. They just get sent out. People think I'm sending them, from even with our short terms. It's right away. I'm like, oh, how can I help you? How can whatever? They think I'm just Johnny on the spot, but it's all automated. You're laughing because
I love it. Like I tell people like, hey, when you register for the event, you're gonna get emails from me. Well, it's not really me, but it is me. So I listen. I'm giggling because
he's not that good.
Yeah, us either. But we just but it's all automated. It's great. When people show interest in a property, they automatically get, information. Hey, thanks for looking at this. And they get all the next steps. So if they want to move forward, they can. And that allows us to do what we're doing right now. We're sitting in Florida. we've got our property rolling and we're sitting here and we're in actually one of our short-term rentals right now. We're doing a little maintenance week and enjoying some sunshine because we can.
That's awesome.
So listen, one of the things that I hear, Scott, you mentioned a few times, maximize what we already have. So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is that you didn't go to start buying more, getting more first. This is mostly what happens with people, just buy more, get more, grow. You're just looking to see what do we have and how we streamline this, how we optimize this, how we make it work. So is that first part correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my next thing is, you talked a lot about the business that you're doing, maximizing what you already have. Did you do anything on your personal sides as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we did. We actually started scheduling fun dates in there. Yeah. And then we kind of looked at the calendar. We have things like, so from, for us, in our mornings from 7 to 9 a.m., we have what we call gem time. That's our time for God, exercise, and mindset.
Yeah. So hold on. Let me pause here. So GEM, GEM.
Yeah.
Exercise, mindset. I love that gem time.
That is very cool. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay.
So we have our gem time in the morning, and that's just like that. And we don't start talking business or starting whatever until after that point.
We just have to have a good foundation that we start our day with. And that's how we do it, is we just get in the right mindset with things. And, we start with God as our foundation for all of that. So that's just makes us go forward so much better throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then some of the things we have what we call drinks and dreams time too. So that's we do.
I want to hang out with you guys. You guys have like some cool acronyms here. Like,
you didn't want to come to Wisconsin though. So
right.
Fair.
Yeah. So we do drinks and dreams every week, and we talk about like, okay, let's sit here, and if it's the end of the week or whatever it is, and we just talk about like, what are our dreams, where we want to be. We want to be on what we want to be going vacationing, what places. Our goals are really to spend more time with family. So we make sure that we can bring the kids down. Like in January, we want all the kids to come. We want our parents to come. We want more family time. That's really important to us. His parents live about 2 hours and 45 minutes away. And now we have the ability to go more often. In fact, we went on a Thursday for their 60th anniversary. And we're like, okay, we're coming more often to do these things. We can come in the middle of the week. And so, yeah, the life has improved. And actually, when we left last time, we were like, okay, well, we'll see you in a few weeks. And his dad looked at us and goes, why?
Because we can.
And he goes, oh, okay. And his mom got all excited because it's nice. We can go.
Maybe dad was like, why do I want to see you again? I mean, I think I'm done with you.
Wasn't this afternoon enough?
For a while.
Right.
Hey, so let me interrupt this episode. And before we get back into it, here's what I want to share with you guys. One of the things that we do throughout the year, all over the country, is we do this event called Business Builder Event. This is the event where we literally outline, help you figure out and create a business that you love and a business that support your life. One of the things that we found over the years that many people become basically a slave or work an employee to their business, and they're working so much in their business that they don't actually get to live their life. And in this particular workshop, we help you redesign that, a business that supports your life. So what do you want to have for them, Bojo? What do we have for them because of that?
Man, well, Peter, because they are loyal listeners, and I know they're tuned in every week, and they've told everyone in their life about the Lifeonaire Show podcast, we have a very, very special offer for you. Now, by the way, I don't know how long we're going to offer this, so this isn't forever. But if you go to lifeonaire.com right now and you go to the events tab and then you go to the Business Builder Workshop, you can, when you pick the event you want, when you go to that checkout page, there's a little place right there. It says enter promo code. And guess what? We have a promo code for you for 50. That's 50% off the ticket for the Business Builder Workshop by entering the promo code podcast into the promo code field. Instantly, you'll get a 50% savings. You'll see it right there on the screen, and you will be registered for that event. And here's the cool thing. You will be off to the races to create a life and a business that complement each other for the first time, maybe ever. And it's amazing.
One more thing I want to share with you before we jump back into the episode is this. One of the participants at our recent podcast, he was in a hot seat. We do these hot seats in front of the room, and we kind of dissect their business. And one suggestion that he got them, he made the change, went home, made the change, and pretty much within a few months went into stage 4, meaning into his business that the business basically supported his life. The income that was coming, the cash flow that was coming into his business, by making that one change, started living in a way that he doesn't have to work for the business works for him. So I would encourage you guys, head over to the website, get, learn about this event, type in podcast, and we'll see you on the next event. Now let's get back into the episode.
So I'm curious, when Peter said it's not like you guys get more, you still have a sizable business. Like, I don't want the listeners to get the wrong impression that you guys have like, 1 or 2 properties here and, kind of is your total, what is your total? I mean, I know you got that 55.
61. We're at 61 right now.
Yes.
Yep. And we manage them all.
Right. So it's not some tiny little operation. You guys have a real business.
Yeah.
And, I followed some of your numbers and you over doubled your monthly cash flow and some great things by strategically moving things around. What do you think, like, what gave you guys that mindset? Like, Scott, you mentioned it, and Shannon, you mentioned it as well. Like, you mentioned a couple of times, like, and Peter mentioned it, getting more from what you already have.
Mm-hmm.
How does somebody do that? Like, what are some of the questions someone needs to start thinking about to make that a reality? Because I think the first reaction for many people is like, hey, I'm not making enough money. I need to get more properties. Hey, I need to whatever. Instead of kind of looking at what they already have kind of ownership of. Like, how did you guys figure out how to do that?
But
go ahead.
Oh, I think we looked at the market and kind of saw the demand and we pivoted a little bit. We also bought right. We bought like at long-term rate, but if it could handle a midterm, we were able to put that in, double the cash flow there. With bringing on a 55 unit portfolio that we did, we had sold some of our other properties that didn't make sense. And then we took these properties on. And when we did that, I said to him, I'm like, just give me 6 months to stabilize the rents. I knew they were under market and I knew we could do some improvements. And so we were able to increase our cash flow by $8,000 a month just in the first 6 months.
Awesome.
So, because they needed, to do that, but it just takes a little bit of time and being strategic about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we go into every deal that it has to have multiple exit strategies. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to buy this to do this, because if that doesn't work, you only have one strategy that you can use. But if you can start and you can stabilize and maximize it, if that doesn't work, then you go to the next level. And you do that way up into the point of, ultimately the last exit strategy is you sell it. But, we've been able to get to the point where we can still maintain it. We're able to maximize the cash flow of all the properties, and it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. And we're not afraid to cut bait too.
No.
So if something's not working, we had a triplex that we're like, okay, it wasn't making enough money. We figured out how to turn it around and make a lot of money from it. But then we're like, it doesn't fit into our goals right now. Mm-hmm. So got rid of it.
So question, does that strategy of cutting bait also work with like co-podcast guest hosts that aren't, necessarily adding value to the show?
That sounds like it might be an offline meeting that you might have to have.
I will just say that the reason why maybe sometimes that happens is because the first host doesn't ever show up and just keeps talking, so you don't have a place to jump in. So just putting that out there. I don't know.
It could be. I'm pretty competitive though. Like, just to kind of further that answer, I'm pretty competitive, and so if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to show you how I can do it. So I think that's always.
Now, do your coaches know that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's a way to get you to do what you want to do. That maybe is like something you don't, to get you to do what you need to do anyway, right? So just know how to push those buttons.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, so correct. So you went to 1 Getaway and 2 business builder workshops.
2 Getaways.
2 Getaways.
2 Getaways.
And then I wasn't able to go to the first business builder because I didn't have enough vacation time. I couldn't come down to it. So with Shannon being out of the W-2 role, she was able to go down and start setting up that framework for the business side of things.
Got it.
And then we were able to come down together after we picked up our portfolio, and then everything just started to fall into place with that.
Awesome.
I mean, when you start going through, you can just see it in your mind, like, yeah, I can see how this fits into our business right now.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man. And so what is it? And I'm curious because you are not that far out of your job. Like, it's only been what? like 3 months.
Yeah.
Is that right? So how does that feel?
Amazing.
Now this,
Yeah.
so you don't miss it at all, I'm guessing?
I mean, I had a passion for what I was doing in healthcare, but I like having freedom too. And, for me, the biggest thing is time. That's always been my vision element, is time. So by having this now, this is what I have, is a lot more time.
Got it. And so now you guys are just full-time in the business, and neither of you guys have jobs.
Correct.
What are the kids thinking about this, by the way?
They're inspired.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think our oldest just received an offer on a triplex.
What?
So his first, so he's house hacking into that and closing in December.
Mhm.
So in a couple months. And our second oldest, he just emailed me this morning. He's like, hey, he's excited that we're doing this today. He's like, I'm looking forward to listening. And he's like, you can teach me all your house hacking skills, So they're hearing it. They're starting to do it. And then our youngest, kind of one of those things where she was talking about having a business, like an idea for a business. She's like, but I'd never do that. I'm like, well, why not? I'm like, let's hear the idea. And it's a great idea. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that if that's what you want. Maybe I'll even partner with you, So it's nice for them to start thinking differently.
Right.
Yeah. And just to be real. And then they're kind of inspired by it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're showing them things that and listen, like a lot of kids don't get to see their parents doing cool stuff. And, and
You're speaking from experience?
Exactly. Right. And you guys are showing them these alternative ways to make a living. Like I don't know if you guys remember my story. Like I didn't have a single entrepreneur or business owner in my family. Like my parents were W-2 employees, and it took me a long time to learn to grow into that. I'm still learning and growing into it. And you guys are providing them a huge, huge example and like a model, like that, hey, you can choose whatever you want to do. And you can, you mentioned pivoting earlier, right? And so that's such a valuable skill for a younger individual to develop. So, it serves you throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're right. It's one of those things I wouldn't have even thought we would do. I've always wanted to do it, but until about 4 years ago, the kids are all going to college and they're doing things. And I just had that limiting belief, on me being able to, because I was raised, you work hard and you don't leave a job before you have another one. All of those things, really good work ethics, but it was where Scott was just like, so let's go to this.
Yeah.
Let's do a business.
It's a year's tuition for college to get yourself in front of people that can give you the roadmap on how to be successful.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it all, is like, you can learn from other people. If you keep doing that and taking action, you just have to take a step forward. And that's what we really learned, was like, when we're in this group, if you're not stepping forward, you're just, you can't not, you just keep going. And that's what Lifeonaire provides you too. And the people around you, it's like, they're moving forward. You want to go, and everybody cheers everybody else on. It's just really an amazing network. I love our platinum group. Like, we are just so encouraging to each other, and also a little tough on each other. When there's something, an action stuff that they're saying and they keep saying they want it, we're like, either we're stopping talking about it or you're going to do it. Yeah. So
tough love.
We have the best group. I'm just saying.
I feel like you just got called out there, buddy.
No, that's, some people live in, what I call La La Land, like dreamland, So
yeah.
So listen, I got a question for you. Go ahead, Scott. You got something?
Well, I was just going to say, like, even from the standpoint when we're not in front of our group, when it's just us together, if one of us is having one of those days where it's like, oh my gosh, to have somebody that you're in business with that can pull you forward as well, that's huge, because when you get down on it, it really takes its toll. But when that person's like, come on, we can do this, let's keep going, they keep pulling you forward, and you just keep doing that with each other, that's how your successes happen too.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important aspect to, like, the community, the group that you can have, and have a conversation where, there was no judgment, right? Because people come from all kinds of different walks of life and different stories that they have, and you come along each other and kind of help each other out. So I got a question for you too, specifically. You mentioned earlier, Shannon, that you're a visionary. Scott, would you say you're a visionary too? You're more of like a detail, get to do stuff?
I don't think I'm so much the visionary, but sometimes we talk about having the person use the gas pedal and the brake, and she steps on the gas and then I put the cruise control on so we can, maybe go a little bit faster too. I'm never one to say, yeah, I don't think we should do that, because I know that her visions are always really good. And I know that she thinks them out before she's like, okay, let's act on it. So I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's always the joke. I'm like, you're sometimes supposed to be the brake pedal. Instead, he hops in shotgun and says, let's go.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it's what pushed us forward.
Yeah. I mean, I will do some of the integrating with stuff, from her visionary side of things, but,
So the reason why I'm asking is because someone who's, let's say, listening on this podcast, right? And maybe there is there are a couple that have a wife or a husband, and they're thinking like, how do I go about doing this? How do I do the business? I mean, some people might be like, I would love to do my business with my wife or my husband, right? But they're a little bit different with me. And, how is that going to work? What would you tell them?
We didn't know in the beginning, like we really didn't know anything about, we decided we wanted to do real estate, and it's because we had made some money in the past on different properties. And so we just kept learning, but it was really tough in the beginning because he was like, I don't know where I fit in this business. And where he fit was making the money as a W-2, holding us steady there so that we could build the business. And then he kept trying different roles until it kind of worked, right?
Yeah.
And then, and it really wasn't. And then all of a sudden, when we switched over to taking them all in his property, he's like, this is what I know. I know how to, he's got a great mind for fixing things and, does it, no problem. He was like, he's got YouTube and he's got
YouTube
his own
University.
brain, and
That's right.
and now he's like, okay, I'm in a groove. I really like this. So my advice would be is keep trying to get into something you like. Don't be afraid to try different roles until you figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think what happened for me a lot of the time early on was I felt like I was just driving the car through the neighborhood and I'm trying to find what street to get to the on-ramp. Right. And so after we picked up the portfolio, I was able to be like, okay, I can see the on-ramp and now let's get on there and go down the highway, because I know that we can start rolling forward and we know where the lanes are for both of us. And that made a huge difference for us, because finding your lanes in your business is really a challenge sometimes. And now that we have been able to do that, I take care of what I need to take care of. She takes care of what she needs to take care of. And that makes the business that much less stressful for us, because we know what our responsibilities are together to make it work.
And it strengthens us personally. That's our relationship. So when we're not doing our business at personally, it's like, you know what? I know you've got that taken care of. We'll throw some things, like, hey, what do you think about this? But,
right.
It makes our personal life so much happier.
Do you guys feel like you have learned a lot more about each other? I mean, was that something that had to happen, or did you guys do that? Or this process, did you learn more about each other to help you, or?
Sure.
Do you mean through life? What process?
Well, through Lifeonaire, think about it, as you are going through this whole entire process, looking at the business, right? And even on personal side and things like husband and wife, right? Did that help you grow together? Did you guys learn more about each other? How did that affect you personally?
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly learned a lot more patience. And I think, it's true. But I mean, even just in our group and talking, and it's like, if he has a perspective when we do our shares, like at a retreat or something, his perspective, and hearing the other room, the rest of the room and people commenting, and it's like, okay, I'm looking at it more from everybody's, his and everybody's view. And I think, just learning each other's strengths, I think really has helped us. Because he would go off to his work and I go to mine, and I knew what I was good at. He knew, but we're learning.
Yeah. I think it's helped us a lot, just in business and personally as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the things that we wanted from our life, and we wanted a real strong, faithful community, something, and we didn't realize we were going to get it actually from our Team Platinum group. I mean, that's our strongest.
Mm-hmm.
And so it brought us closer with our faith, and some of the gifts that we have received have been just, the blessings are amazing, the connections, the people, and it just set us up in life for, things that were going to come at us personally. And so, it's unvaluable.
Take on those challenges a lot easier now because of that.
Yeah.
Well, now the conversation is I've been saying this for years, and you hear from other people and okay, finally somebody's, I've been telling you this the whole time, right? That conversation kind of, which one of you kind of said that to each other?
I don't think that we ever said, because I think we were both on board from the get-go to do this. So I think more of our conversations have been, see, it's working. What we're doing is working and we're following our vision. And we can see that once you write something down, because that's the key right there, you got to put it down on paper and you have to put down what you want. And when you both have that same vision, that makes it so much easier to gain that success.
Yeah. And I was just going to add to that. For me, one of the biggest things that changed is there's nothing I don't think I can't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the total, the mindset is just like, I'm like, I
everything's
can do it.
Figure outable, right?
We always say that all the time. Everything's figure outable.
Figure outable. Wow, look at me. I actually said that word. Wow.
You just knocked out 3 syllables.
I know, can you believe it?
We say it till the cows come home all the time. You know?
What are you talking now? You're speaking my language now.
That's right.
Go ahead, Mojo.
This is awesome, you guys. So tell me, like, for somebody, like, give the listener who either doesn't believe they can do what you guys are doing, or they don't think it's possible, or it's not for them, or they're not smart enough, or whatever reason they have to not move forward with this, what would you say to them?
I would say you can't do it on your own, because if you're thinking that you can't do it, you haven't looked out for what resources can make a difference for you. You know, how many professional players are successful because they have a coach to help them do things? You have to have that in your business to help you gain success. If you don't have that, you can't do it on your own. And that's why you surround yourself with great people so that you can grow and you help them too in the process.
Got it. Well,
I mean, I think you can do it on your own, but I understand what you're saying. I think that the people around you and the coaching always brings you higher and brings you closer to those goals. But I do agree with him, you know, everything. I mean, there's education. Nothing is easy until you learn how to do it. Like once we learn how to do something, like it's simple as saying riding a bike. You know what I mean? Once you learn or just look into it, it becomes like the norm.
Yeah. So you got to get going. You just got to start. You got to
That's it.
Realize it's going to be good and you got to do it anyway.
Yep.
Take action. That's probably the biggest thing is you need to take action.
We didn't have big wins in the beginning, and some of them were like, oops. I was like, oh, hey, at least we came out with, you know, this ahead. He's like, you forgot we put earnest money down. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And so it's just those things, but it's a good lesson, right? And you learn what you like and you don't like through it. And just even with us, like we are actually, we love putting our vision down, and we did it separately. We did all our homework. And then as soon as we got to Myrtle Beach, we actually read our notebooks together. That very first time, we were like, wow, we are really pretty close.
Yeah, we're pretty evenly yoked with where we were at in our business and what we wanted to do. Yeah.
Because we had done this one.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, like, I love what you've done and you continue to do. I'm inspired and I'm grateful that you guys are part of the Lifeonaire community, because you're right there lifting everybody else up along with your victories as well. So it's awesome. And I just want to thank you guys for being on the Lifeonaire show and sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dude, what cool people, man. Like, I love their story. I love their heart. They're super humble and unassuming, just like, they're just cool. Like, and, you know, and they've had an awesome amount of success and they're rocking it, man.
Yeah. One of the cool things that I like about what they were talking about is, you know, just taking the action, right? Taking the small steps and starting with what you already have. You know, when I asked them a question about the growth is, you know, a lot of times people think that the way to fix something or make things better or it's just to grow, right? Like grow the business. And they literally kind of started first working what they already had before they started growing. I think the reason for that is you got to get systematized and you got to get things right in your own house before you start growing. Because if you start growing, that only gets bigger and worse. You know, the problems that you have, they just get bigger.
Yeah, man, I really liked how they said that a bunch of times. Like, hey, what can we do with what we already have? How can we get the most out of what we already have? Yep. In that perspective, like, how do you get what you want with what you already have? You know, whether it's resources, whether it's money, whether it's connections, whether it's skills or talents, like that's the first place I think people miss. They look at what they don't have or what somebody else has, and instead of looking at what they have and then squeezing the most juice from it. That's a huge one. Again, I agree with you on the taking action too. That's a huge one. Like, the small steps and just start building momentum, because that's how success really occurs. It's not the atmospheric success off of like overnight, experiences. And so like that is another thing here. The one thing I also wanted, I didn't realize that Shannon had some hesitations about joining Lifeonaire early on. And, so I thought that was really cool how she kind of like thought through like, hey, the benefits versus the cons. And for her, the cons was like, hey, gosh, we're working on our reserves, and, we're trying to quit our jobs. And is this a step back? And, I applaud for her making the realization that like, yeah, maybe a small step back in the short term, financially, and with your time, but like the overall, the projected growth and the things that'll occur as a result of this just far outweigh that. And so having that long-term perspective versus a little short-term, kind of like more short-sighted, approach, I think has served them in many areas of life as well. And so this is an illustration of her using that.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, man. We were sitting out in a hallway, basically, the three of us having this conversation. And it was just like, I remember like it was yesterday, and it's been, years ago. I don't know exactly how many years, but the cool thing is now she's looking back, and for them specifically, it looks like it worked out really well. And I'm just so glad that she took that leap of faith.
Dude, yeah, look how different your life is now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to see those kinds of success stories. One other thing that I got from this conversation is, I think, listener, right now, you gotta make sure that you surround yourself with the people who are like-minded, who are successful, who are where you want to be, kind of a thing. So they're on the same trajectory as you want that, not just from a business perspective, not just about money, but the entire life, the whole life.
Yeah.
And whether it's Lifeonaire or it's your own circle of friends, you gotta make sure that you surround yourself with people who are gonna, like they were talking about in the group, right? People cheering on them, people having tough conversations with them, they getting called out when they need to be, and those kinds of things. And
love.
I think that is so important in your journey, in your growth, because we don't see that a lot.
Yeah, dude, super good point. Totally true. So oftentimes like super underrated. That's a huge insider secret right there. Get around the right people. Well, listen, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We certainly love getting to talk to these awesome success stories, these people with real lives. This isn't like made up fairy tale land. Yep. This is people that are living this stuff, that are making it happen, that I hope inspire you that you can do the same. So if you enjoyed the episode, leave us a review, leave us a rating, give us a thumbs up, share it, and we would love to impact other people and inspire more people alongside with your help to reach more business owners and entrepreneurs and people that need to hear this message. So until next week, we'll see you soon.